What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with some Destiny 2 news updates, new patch notes, and a few updates for Guardian Games. So in the video today we'll talk about missing rewards, bugs, and more of the expected stuff for a Destiny 2 event launch. Plus, we'll take a look at new exotics and unique items. And then we'll spend a bit of time to touch on weapons coming in Season 17, some dev team insights into PvE versus PvP armor tuning, and more in the video. So, as always guys, I hope you enjoy this one, but now let's get into it. It started out yesterday, we had a brand new hotfix for Destiny 2, and for the fixes, it turns out it was a patch note. So for Vow of Disciple right here, they removed class items from the master difficulty reward pool for encounter completions. And so that'll be one less thing diluting the loot pool there, and it was the solitary change for the hotfix. Now that Guardian Games is live though, a lot of players have been discussing the title SMG, and the drop rates for it beyond the initial quest. So of course there's a quest that needs to be completed for Eva that'll give us access to the first drop of the weapon. After that though, at the moment, it seems to be a bit difficult to come by, and Liana Rupert from Bungie said, "We're aware of reports of the title SMG not dropping. Be sure to follow Bungie Help for more as the team investigates." And we're not sure actually what the source for the drop is supposed to be, and at the moment players are having a hard time getting additional random rolls of the weapon, so potentially something that Bungie needs to update there, and I'll keep you posted. In terms of all of the potential perk rolls for the title, of course it gets the classy contender bonus, which generates class ability when you make kills. But then it's able to do things like Grave Robber, Swashbuckler, and it also has Perpetual Motion and One for All. These are as kind of trait combos. There's also the possibility of things like Threat Detector and Swashbuckler, and Dynamic Sway Reduction and Move in Target. So there are a few different trait combos there which are decent. So hopefully Bungie will make it a bit easier to obtain additional rolls of the weapon soon. Some other bugs for Guardian Games though, and Bungie have disabled the Guardian Games playbook, and this was due to a problem where the Witch Queen expansion was being added into players' platform carts when actually clicking on the playbook, which is pretty bad. Bungie did say that it's unintentional, and that's why they've had to disable it for the moment. So kind of a weird one there. And another thing players have reported is Eva Levante allowing us to pick up more than one platinum card at once. However, there are reports of players actually not getting the additional card dropped, but still losing the laurels when spending them on the cards. And so basically it's a bit buggy if you try and hold more than one platinum card at a time. It can work, but there is the possibility that you'll lose laurels, so bear that in mind. And otherwise, for some interesting items associated with the event, of course Eververse always gets restocked with plenty of stuff. And some of the interesting items for this year include the Champion Shell, a literal Guardian Games cup right there, and then the Vex Mythoclast is getting its own ornament called Clast of its Own. We've got the Guardian Games icon right there. And there's this pretty neat theme that they've given to some of the cosmetic vehicles, so the Wedge Exotic Sparrow, which is another item that'll appear in Eververse, the Backstroke Shell, which has got a cool floral pattern on it, but also the hashtag sponsored shell covered in various different branding icons associated with the Destiny universe there. Then there's also the ship that can be acquired from Eva after depositing a certain number of medals, called Unauthorized Departure, which is a pretty cool one, and we can see it right there. So there's a bit of a mixed bag of rewards, and let us know if there's anything you're looking to pick up down in the comment section. Moving on though, and also on the subject of Guardian Games, Bungie showed off an emblem in the TWAB last week, but Cosmos said we had to swap out the emblem graphic we showed off for Guardian Games, and this is what players will be getting if you score in the top 10% at the end of the event. And if you fancy going for that, Robbie Stevens clarified and said, "We're tracking the score each time you complete a competitive strike. This is not cumulative until the end of the event. Each week you'll want to earn the highest possible score in that playlist to be in the top 10% of all players to nab the emblem." And he also confirmed that it will count the single highest score that we're able to make each week. So if you want a chance at that, complete competitive strikes, and the highest score for each week before reset will be the ones that are counted, and if you're in that top 10%, the emblem will be yours. Next though, let's move away from Guardian Games stuff for just a moment. I thought it would be neat to talk about Season 17 weapons. And so spoiler alert is necessary here. One of the weapons is an exotic that Bungie managed to tease by accident. They essentially leaked it via the Japanese version of the TWAB. And so with that spoiler alert in mind, of course, Bungie featured Trespasser in the Japanese version of the TWAB, listed with its aerial accuracy stat. And so while not strictly confirmed, it very much looks like the Trespasser is going to be returning as part of Season 17. And so it's probably going to be one of the exotic weapons we'll get. Plus there'll be a Season Pass exotic and possibly other quest drops. But then of course Bungie have confirmed the ritual weapon for the season being a heavy machine gun called Chain of Command. and they showed off the 3 skins that'll be available for that, so that'll be the weapon earned via the quest at the 3 playlist vendors. But they also teased the inclusion of some new playlist weapons, so the Riptide Fusion Rifle will come from Crucible, the Deadweight Shotgun from Gambit, and the Strident Whistle Bow from Vanguard. And obviously with those being playlist weapons, they should get playlist origin traits. And on top of that, they're introducing reprised Nightfall weapons, so we're going to see the Horror's Least Pulse Rifle from back in Forsaken, as well as the DFA hand cannon, which was one they introduced during the Strike update in Year 1. Those will be coming with random rolls and, of course, Adept versions. Additionally, though, they tease new Trials weapons, so the Forgiveness Sidearm and the Burden of Guilt Fusion Rifle. And then, as Paul Tassi pointed out, most seasons in D2 we tend to get 6 activity weapons for the seasonal activity, so that seems likely once again. But also for Season 17, Bungie have already confirmed that we're going to see a dungeon. And we've got 4 weapons from Grasp of Avarice, so I guess at the low end of the spectrum we would at least expect to get 3 or 4 weapons based on what we've seen in previous dungeons. Plus we're very much likely to see other Worldpool weapons as well. And so that's 8 or 9 confirmed weapons, but factoring in seasonal activity and dungeon stuff, we're probably looking at least 20 weapons for Season 17 so far. And again, it will probably be more than that, which is a pretty good start. So give us any thoughts you have below, things that you'd love to see, whether it's new archetypes or indeed rolls on reprised weapons. And now that we're only a month out from Season 17, we can definitely expect the conversation to pick up. Couple of final things here, but Liana Rupert from Bungie confirmed that Bungie are looking into players not receiving Bungie emails. Of course, Bungie have been using emails to vote for certain things, like the Armor vote for Festival of the Lost, or the Trials map for this week. And so she basically said that they are aware some players aren't getting those emails. They apologize for that and they're working to fix it as soon as possible. Another thing on the conversation of armor stats, somebody had posted to Reddit, "I'll never understand why the stag gets different resist values for both PvE and PvP, as well as different cooldowns when critically wounded, but Renewal Grasps just get a universal nerf." And one of the Bungie armor feature leads actually replied on Reddit, so they said, "I'll give some insight into these changes a bit, but firstly, I'd like to clarify, Renewal Grasps is actually different in PvE versus PvP. The outgoing damage penalty applied to players affected by Renewal Grasp's Duskfilled Grenade has been reduced from 50 to 20%, but they point out that damage is unchanged versus PvE targets. So it's a good bit of clarification, and they go on to say that nerfs are never going to be popular, but this change was a collaborative effort between armor and abilities. Combat Systems was concerned that the amount of damage resistance granted was too high given the uptime of the grenade, and the additional damage resistance granted by Renewal Grasps is only 15%. Most of it comes from combining it with Whisper of Chains, which is 25%, and when the incoming damage is also being reduced by the other perk on Renewal Grasps, which is 50%. The suite of changes we decided on preserved the 15% damage resistance, as that was the primary intended use case, and we left massive outgoing damage reduction in PvE, as that was not leading to negative experiences, and was also essential to its draw in PvE, especially in endgame content. And of course, in that respect, it is still quite a strong exotic. But in terms of separating PvP and PvE in general, they did add that while we can tune certain things relatively easily between the two modes, core cooldown is not one of those things. And you're correct that we certainly did not intend to make using the exotic feel bad. The power level in PvE is just as high as it was before, but now the uptime is lower. So some good clarification there, and I'd love to get your thoughts down below. Once again, there are still some very strong PvE builds with Renewal Grasps included, although the PvP side of things has been affected quite a bit more. For today though guys, that's everything that we have to round up in the video. So as always, I hope you've enjoyed this one, and if you have, a rating below really helps us out on the channel. Also feel free to get subscribed to the channel if you want to be kept up to date with everything related to Destiny 2. And otherwise for now, I appreciate you tuning in and hope you guys have an awesome day.